Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Cup Chat with Birding with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. And we're excited to welcome our original OG birding guide, Brian Cock, with us today. And I like to use the word OG because I still have the envisionment that Maureen may not know what that means, but she says she does.
It's just so funny because I do, but if that's what works, then we'll just go with it.
That's what makes it funny in my brain. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome. And it is almost Halloween, so we hope that y'all are ready for trick-or-treaters and everyone coming by your door. But today, we thought we'd kind of do a Halloween-themed cup chat and talk about chupacabras. Chupacabras.
Hey, I just realized we're in speaker view. You want us to be in gallery, Em?
Oh, yes, we do.
Okay, here's everybody. Everybody's now here to talk about chupacabras. And we are going to be talking about flying chupacabras because that's not typically what you think of when you think about El Chupacabra. But there's an entire order of birds called Capra multiformes. So when we're thinking about that classification, like that means there's a lot of species all within this order.
Wait. Before we go forward, I really do think we need to move forward.
Review?
No, we don't need to do a classification review. But before we move forward in our scientific explanation of the morning, I think we should all tell what we really think a chupacabra looks like.
Oh, that's true.
I never thought of a chupacabra being a bird.
That's a good point. And I do also think of we know that not all of our viewers are in Texas, and this is very much kind of a Texas thing. Like, I think most Texans know what the chupacabra is, but I don't think outside of that people necessarily know. Wait. What's a chupacabra look like?
Wait, chupacabras aren't real.
I know.
Okay. I'm just making sure. You look like you were looking at me like.
First point of cup chat, chupacabras aren't real, but I'm saying like most people don't know of that story if you're outside of Texas.
I don't even know what the story is. All I know is it is a creature. And I never thought of the chupacabra being a bird.
No, me neither.
I picture the chupacabra being like half coyote, half fox, with a smidge of raccoon in there, and being this almost a cute, scary, mammal-esque looking creature that's about the fox raccoon size. That's my vision.
That's fair. That sounds about right to me. I don't know, Brian, what's your view of a chupacabra?
I think so.
And you're the one of us who's lived in the valley, so you're like the heart of like chupacabra lore.
I guess. Yeah, I think of it as being like sort of coyote-ish, but maybe like also sits on its back legs weirdly. And kind of like mangy. And I have heard of descriptions where they do have wings, and that's how they get around to different places. So
see, yeah, I'm a firm believer that they walk on four legs.
Mm-hmm. Well, they can do that too, but also wings. It's nice to have both options.
Gotcha.
But definitely not a bird, which is then what we're going to talk about today.
Okay. Now you can go into your scientific order. Okay. Make your heart happy. Go forth and prosper.
So there's a whole order of birds called Capra multiformes, which is Latin for goat sucker. And this is one of my favorite orders of birds, and definitely Brian's favorite order of birds. So Brian, what are we talking about when we talk about Capra multiformes, and how did they get this name?
Sure.
Wait, and can we first dispel the myth that they actually are not goat suckers, or are they goat suckers?
Well, we can talk about that too.
I'll talk a little bit about that, I guess. So the order, Capra multiformes, the word translates into capra, which means goat, and mulja, whatever part of that suffix means,
I guess,
sucker. Yeah. And so the myth is that these birds would go around and suckle at the teats of goats and drain them of their milk.
That's better than what I was thinking.
Yeah, depending on the legend or whatever. So that's kind of the myth led to their name. And what we're talking about in this order in the US anyway, are about 10 species of birds that we more commonly know as nighthawks and nightjars. In the US, we have 3 species of nighthawks and around 7 species that are considered nightjars. In Texas, gosh, I'm not sure exactly how many species have been recorded there. But yeah, these are my favorite birds. They're mostly nocturnal or crepuscular, meaning they're active at dawn and dusk. They're insectivores. I think there was a common nighthawk that was dissected and found to eat over 500 mosquitoes in one night, which is pretty great. You know, we love
birds
them.
that eat mosquitoes are my favorite.
But yeah, these are my favorite birds. Actually, there's a parake right there, which is my favorite bird. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're talking about here.
And so the other thing that I had heard as far as like the name of them and like the superstition that they were sucking on goats, excuse me, they're unlike a lot of, the vast majority of birds are diurnal. And nighthawks are going to be out foraging at night. And so there's kind of this, that I think makes them a little bit more mysterious, but they also have this really wide gape. So their mouths open really, really wide to where it just looks kind of weird. And I think, when we think about what kinds of adaptations that animals have for different kinds of feeding, it looks like they could, suckle from a goat. But I will say to them to tie this into the Chupacabra legend, going back to, I didn't finish my thought, that in case everybody doesn't know what that is, the myth of a Chupacabra is that it's kind of like a vampire creature, like it will suck the blood from different animals, including goats. So yes, I purposefully said that Capra multiformes will suck goats dry to make it sound exciting, but the myth with the with nighthawks is that they are sucking the milk dry, not the blood. So
if they're not actually sucking goat milk,
they're not actually sucking any.
What do they actually eat?
Insects. So that's what Brian was saying, like lots and lots and lots and lots of insects, which is wonderful. So
now, where can we find one of these goats sucking milk birds?
Where can we find them not sucking on milk in Texas?
Yeah. Where would we find them not doing that?
So no matter where you are in Texas, you are within range at some point in the year of one of these birds. The most widespread being common nighthawk. But other common species that we see in the state are lesser nighthawk, Chuck-will's widow, Mexican whippoorwill, common poorwill. In the eastern half of the state, in migration, mostly we get eastern whippoorwill. And of course, common parake in South Texas and the brush country. Those are the main ones we get. There's actually, I think, as far as I know, probably one of the single nights with the most diversity of nightjars was actually recorded in Valverde County in migration, where they had in one night common poorwill, common parake, lesser nighthawk, common nighthawk, Chuck-will's widow, and a migrating Mexican whippoorwill, all in one place, which is pretty incredible.
Wow.
That is, and that'd be super fun to have a parake up that close by too. So the first time I got to encounter a parake, I heard it. I didn't get to see it, which is pretty common for lots of birds, right? But I was actually in a hotel in Hebronville, but I was like on the outskirts of town, and so I was close enough to the brush country, and it was October, and I had my windows closed, but I was like, hey, here's something. And so then I opened it and I could hear it, and that was pretty cool because it was, just right nearby. And then since then I've gotten to see them. So seeing them brings us to the point of what's with the spooky eyes, Brian. If anybody saw our Instagram post, it's got like a glowing red eye. Did I make that up, or do they have spooky eyes?
They kind of do. And one way that you can see these eyes especially well is just driving these back roads at night or ranch roads or whatever. Because one thing that they love to do is just sit in the middle of the road where it's a little bit more open and they have those big eyes that are very reflective, that allow them to see really well at night. Because if you can imagine trying to catch a flying insect at dusk or at night, you have to have some pretty insanely good vision to be able to do that. Um, and putting themselves in a little bit more of an open area like a road like that, or just any sort of open space, allows them to be able to see that prey more easily also. So yeah, they definitely do have those glowing eyes. And if we're trying to find them at night, that's a great method to do so, is just shine a flashlight or drive the road with your headlights, and you just pick up on that eye shine. Makes them really easy to find.
I want to talk a little bit about that.
Wait. But you say easy to find.
Mhm.
How realistic? Okay, so we've been birding a lot together
Mhm.
at
Mhm.
night, and we've only seen one of these. We've heard lots of them, but we've only technically seen one together. So give me when you say they're easy to find, are they really easy to find? Because I'm calling questionable, or I need to find a different guy.
It depends.
Just kidding.
It depends on the species. It depends on where you are, and it depends on the time of year. So nighthawks are actually a lot easier to find just flying around at dawn and dusk, not sitting in the road necessarily. Whereas like a common porwheel, definitely they love to sit in the road, especially in the part of Texas we're typically in. The other species like Chuckwill's widow, they're more of a woodland bird, so they're not so much sitting in the road. So it just depends. If you want to just see them and not necessarily just sitting in the road, right on the golf course at 4 o'clock in front of my parents' house every night, common and lesser nighthawks just going back and forth all over the place. So it just depends, I guess.
Okay, so now we have a lot of things that I want to talk about, and one of those is going to be like the flight behavior, but we also have to talk about large groups of these. But first we have to don't go there yet, because I want to talk a little bit about that, what makes their eyes glow, because that's kind of fun. And this is something that we talk about with our Buckskin Brigades kids, is that that reflective, that eye shine is the same reflective structure that you're going to see if a deer, if you shine a light on a deer and their eyes reflect, or your dogs go running out in the yard and you shine a flashlight, their eyes will reflect. And it's called a tapetum lucidum, and it's basically just a reflective structure that's a great adaptation for animals to be able to see better at night. And like Brian mentioned too, with the nighthawks, it's not just going to be like night, but dawn and dusk, as you can see those nighthawks going back and forth and catching bugs. Brian, can you talk real quick about some of the behavior when you see them on the roads? What do they like? They have kind of some cool behaviors, because they're not just necessarily going to sit there, but they're catching insects. Like they kind of jump up sometimes. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing that really made me fall in love with the paraque, and sort of makes it my favorite bird, is that foraging behavior. But I'll get to that in just a second. So the most commonly seen of the groups foraging are the nighthawks, and their foraging style is sort of like a swallow, but sort of crepuscular and nocturnal. So they'll be up in the air, flying around, and when they see those insects, they'll chase them down midair with that really wide open gape, like Maureen was talking about. And they have this sort of erratic flight style. Another sort of local name, I guess, for them is the bull bat, which refers to bat, referring to that sort of bat-like flight style, real erratic, and then bull referring to sort of this noise that they make. And so that's the nighthawks. The rest of the night jars, like the common porwheel and the paraque, they'll sit on the ground and forage from there. So they'll kind of be sitting there watching for insects, and then they'll leap up in the air, maybe 5 to 20 feet up, and then snatch something and then circle around and then come back and sit back down. And the Paracas, at least down in the valley and some of the parks there, you can just walk those trails at dusk or at night, and you'll just see them sitting in the trail, and you can just watch them make these little hop foraging loops, I guess, and they're just really cute and adorable, and I love them for that.
Yeah, we've seen them at the Welder Wildlife Refuge is where I've seen the most of them, and they'll sit on the roads there, and yeah, if you walk down, and the first time we went, some of the educators down there were like, just wait. We were with a big group, and they're like, they'll go up, and then they're gonna come right back. So it was pretty cool to see. So,
you know what I like to do?
What do you like to do?
Interrupt Cup Chat for something fun.
Oh,
Extra.
see, this flashed through my brain. I was like, we dived right into this again, and Emily's gonna be mad because we didn't stop to pause for the fun Halloween related
Activity.
giveaway.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
activity. Yeah.
But we have quite a few live followers joining us right now. And so what I'm going to do is I want to shout out to everyone joining us live. Thank you for joining us live at 7:30. If you comment that you are joining us, we are going to have a special Halloween birdie giveaway just for our live followers today. So give us a comment. We will pick one winner at the end. So make sure comment now or anytime within the Cup Chat, and we'll be giving away a neat Halloween birdie giveaway. So comment. Okay, now we can go on.
Well, and I have to say too that last year at Halloween we had these really cute mugs because we had just done Learn to Bird, and April gave us these adorable little bat mugs. I'm traveling right now, so I totally last week was like, oh, I should use this, but it's at home, so I have my water bottle. Emily looks like she has a travel mug. Brian's got a water bottle. We are not prepared with our mugs for the fact that this is Halloween week, but that's what happens when you travel. So okay, so I want to go off Target. Back on target, talking about them being like bull bats. So this year, back in April, we came out of going to Aggie muster at the Civic Center, or not the Civic Center, the Fairplex in Uvalde. And I came out and something flew by, and just the flight behavior. And early in the summer, it had been a while since I had seen a nighthawk. I thought it was a bat. And then I saw all of a sudden there were a bunch of them. And the way they were flying, it truly took me a second, even though I see nighthawks fairly often. I was like, wait, those look like bats, but they weren't. And there were maybe a dozen nighthawks flying around the parking lot because they like, of course, the insects are attracted to the lights. And so that's something kind of cool is that you can see common and lesser nighthawks sometimes in a little bit more urban areas because they'll fly into those lights. And so I texted Brian and I was like, I just saw so many nighthawks. And then you told me about the most you've ever seen. So tell us about the most nighthawks you've ever seen, because it totally beats out my dozen. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Thank you. Sorry. As it gets into late summer and they're done with breeding, the nighthawks will sort of congregate into these larger migratory groups. And so the most that I've ever personally seen was a couple hundred, all sort of together just right in front of my parents' house at Fort Clark, mixed common and lesser nighthawks. That was probably around late August, September or so. But in places like Hawk Ridge in Minnesota, they have a really impressive common nighthawk migration there where they get thousands of them in a day, which would just be incredible to see. I know it's kind of hard to predict the days when they get those numbers, but that's sort of a bucket list experience for me, is to be able to see big congregations like that. But typically outside of migration, like Maureen was saying, if you find a place with like street lights, I know the Border Patrol checkpoint between Brackettville and Uvalde particularly has a lot of high power lights that attract a lot of nighthawks every night, which is really cool. Just because those insects are coming into those lights, and that's like a free buffet for these guys. So at those, and in midsummer, when they're not migrating, you can probably see a couple dozen around the lights at a time like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, that's funny because I think you maybe missed our Cup Chat where we talked about once in a lifetime birding bucket list experiences. So we're glad to know yours. Now,
Mhm.
shamelessly, did you have any wonderful experiences at any birding with extension programs with any of these birds?
Oh, going off the experience thing, not the, because, okay, go.
With any of these birds?
With any of nighthawks? Did we have a nighthawk thing that I'm forgetting about?
Did I
Oh,
miss it?
yeah. I mean, well, I can think of one. Anyway, I don't know if this is the one that you're thinking of. But at Rio Diablo birding camp, as we were making our way up the Chisos Mountains in pitch blackness almost, hiking up for Kalima Warbler, we had a Mexican whippoorwill that we were hearing for a while, and then it flew over the trail and we all got to see it in the flashlight, which was really cool. Just because that one is really hard to see in particular. And at the same time, we had elf owl and western screech owl calling. And later, I guess it was that night, it would have been, right? Or the next night, maybe?
I don't know. It was a
very-
blur.
we had our friend Krista out, and she's a bat biologist, and we got a little nest netting demo. We were attempting to catch some bats, but instead we caught a lesser nighthawk, which was an absolute dream of mine to be able to see one of those guys in the hand. And everyone got a really close look at it, and we got to look at some of the field marks that separate it from common nighthawk. So that was just like an amazing experience for me personally. But
In case you want to know, you screamed like a little girl when she pulled
Yes.
it out of the bag.
I pulled it out of the bag. She didn't tell me what it was, and I was like, she said, "Oh, pull it out," and I thought it was a bat, and I was like, bare hand? This doesn't feel right. And then I was like, "Oh, it's a bird." Okay.
That's fine. And I wasn't there for that. I totally missed that, but I heard about how awesome it was, and I am very jealous of your getting to hold a nighthawk experience. So
Yes,
I like the trust of the biologist. The biologist told me to stick my bare hand in this bag. I don't know that depending on the biologist, that may not always be something you want to do, but we trust Krista.
We do trust Krista. Yes.
We do trust Krista. I wonder if Krista watches us live. We have lots of live followers, and I have not had a lot of live comments to give away my fun giveaway today. Please, guys, comment so I can give away something cool.
It's only every so often that I let her give things away. So you have
Yes, I have to like really twist Maureen's arm to make it happen. So give us a comment so I can so there's lots of people in the drawing.
Okay, but I have a really important topic that we haven't talked about, because Emily asked with the nighthawks, because Brian said they're pretty easy to see, and said yes. But in the picture behind you, Brian, if we were to find one like that and it's not nighttime, at daytime, where do they go, and are they easy to see?
Good question. Okay, so this also depends on if you're talking about nighthawks or nightjars. So nightjars, particularly the Parake, the Porwell, are really prone to spending the day on the ground. I've only seen a Parake sitting on a branch or not the ground one time. Nighthawks, lesser nighthawk, common nighthawk, will pick a horizontal branch in a tree and just sit sort of really flat on it. And that brown mottled patterning really mimics tree bark. And so they just kind of look like a lump on the branch. All of them extremely difficult to find day roosting, unless you know where they like to set. Or if you accidentally flush them as you're hiking through habitat. I have a story of the common Parake down in South Texas, where there are a few places at public parks and refuges where they're known to roost. And so you kind of like stand at that place and you're looking at the understory beneath all this thorn scrub brush. And you just kind of stare at the dirt for a while until you recognize that pattern of their plumage, and you're like, "Ah, okay, there's one." And I was guiding down there, and I had a big group of people, and you don't want to brush everyone up at once, and then the bird flushes off, and you don't want to disturb the birds, especially when they're day roosting. So I kind of had everyone coming by one, and I was just standing there with the bird. I was giving everyone the directions to find it. Okay, you go from this squiggly branch and you go down to this leaf, and then it's between, and then there it is, and everyone sees it. And I had this one person come up. I gave them the same directions. They're like, I don't see it. And I said, okay. And so I gave them different directions, and they said, oh, I don't see it. I was like, okay, I don't. I kept trying, was being very patient, trying to get them to see the bird. And eventually I was like, okay. And then so say this was the bird. I was like, it's right there, like 4 inches from my fingertip. And they're like, I don't see it. I was like, I don't know what to do. So they have very impressive camouflage, to say the least.
Didn't you post that picture on Facebook at some point or somewhere? I think I've seen that picture.
Probably, yeah. I have a couple pictures of paraques where I just take it wide angle with my cell phone, just like standing up of the dirt, and it's kind of like I spy, trying to find the thing. Yeah.
Well,
Did y'all know at Birding the Border, at Zuberbilla Ranch, there was a common nighthawk that flew over and circled us and then landed in a branch next to them.
ooh,
Dang, that's cool.
No one told us
know
this. Stephanie just posted, and she goes, a lot of us got a digiscope picture. Well, thanks for sharing, Stephanie.
Well, that's cool.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I had to pull up my eBird checklist so I could remember which park we were at. But 2 years ago, when we got to go to Rio Grande Valley Festival, Emily and I went down, and I went out to Santa Ana National Wildlife Refuge. There was a paraque, and it was, I guess the guide knew it was one of those common roosting spots. And that was really cool because I knew that they did that, and I've seen pictures of that, but it's really fun in person to be like, can I follow his directions well enough to figure out where this bird is, because they are just so camouflaged. And that is something that I think is really cool about them, is that ability to just quietly, completely blend in to the surroundings. So
Yep, absolutely. That's actually where that happened, where the person couldn't find it, was at Santa Ana.
Was it Santa Ana? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like how he's like, that's where the person, like, not disclosing of the name.
No. I actually I couldn't tell you who it was. It's one of those day trips, but yeah.
It was fun. Okay, so everybody, we are drawing up on 8 o'clock. If you haven't commented that you are joining us, I've got a cool prize to give away today. And I may go completely crazy here in a second, just be forewarned, you two. So any final thoughts as we continue to talk about these Chupacabra birds as we kind of wrap it up?
I have 2 fun facts that I want to share.
2 fun facts. Okay.
And then I have a Chupacabra fact, so we'll pull it all back together.
Okay. And I don't have any fun facts.
Okay, but you have fun. You have free
giveaway.
stuff. So yeah,
Yes.
that counts.
That's what people really care about anyway.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
So one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about foraging styles, the genus name for the paraque is Nyctodromus, which means night runner, which refers to that sort of foraging behavior of sort of going along the ground, making these short little flights, which I just think is pretty cool. I love when genus names are sort of poetic like that. And the Mexican whippoorwill has been shown that they try to lay their eggs around 10 days before the full moon, so they can time the hatching of the chicks with the full moon, so they are more able to forage for insects and feed their babies better. So that's kind of interesting.
So cool.
Yeah,
that's way cool.
Official, or is that just thought?
That's been observed. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's cool, because a few weeks ago, we talked about my dissertation research on eared grebes migrating away from Great Salt Lake. And one of the things we looked at to see, like, when are they migrating? Like, they're not good flyers. Maybe they're more likely to leave on nights with a full moon. And there was like 0 relationship between those variables. Like, what did not affect it at all. So that's super cool though, because I mean, being able to forage, and especially for chicks, is really important. So you can see why that would be a good adaptation.
Right. Yeah. I think I said also, I just said they lay them 10 days before, but they time it so they hatch 10 days before.
Hatch 10 days before.
Yeah,
That makes
that's
sense.
what I
Oh,
meant.
gotcha. Okay.
That's cool.
Cool fun facts. Good job.
Sorry,
Ooh,
facts.
we've got a question before you get to go from Beth. Hi, Beth. How are you? We miss you. Are whips night jars or night hawks?
Night jars.
Night jar.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Now your fun fact, Maureen.
So it's less of a fun fact and more of like a resource because, you know, extension specialist, but it is kind of a fun fact. Part of what we think is the legend behind the chupacabra and being this like really nasty, Brian said, mangy looking coyote, is that animals get mange and it makes them look really funky. And so we're tying this together. Remember when Dr. Bowl was on and he had those silhouettes of the hawks versus like what is actually the body of the bird versus the feathers? They look totally different. It's like if you think about, you know, buying a whole chicken from the store versus the chicken that you see running around. Like there's a very different, you know, layout. And the same thing happens if an animal has mange. So if you see a coyote without fur or a raccoon without fur, they are the strangest things. And every now and then something will, you know, appear and people are like, what is this animal? And it's just a coyote with mange, or if it's got opposable thumbs, it's a raccoon with mange. But there's an entire extension. It does. They look super creepy. When a raccoon with mange looks super creepy.
I don't
When
know
they
why I
lose their
thought that
fur.
was funny. There's opposable thumbs with mange.
Yeah, then it's a raccoon. But we have a whole extension publication on mange that was done by Dr. Tomacek, and also one that ties that into the legend of El Chupacabra. So if you need more Chupacabra related reading for your Halloween, check out the AgriLife bookstore and you can search Chupacabra. And we have
You're going to post that publication in the comments, right?
Yep.
I knew that's what you were doing.
Yep.
Okay. So I have a fun fact for everyone, and I've gone completely rogue. Maureen, hold your ears and don't have a coronary. So thank you for everyone who has joined us live today and commented. And the fun fact is I've gone completely rogue today, and everyone's going to win.
That is completely rogue. Holy moly.
So everyone, I will be messaging you to send me your mailing address, and everyone will get a very fun Halloween treat. Look at Maureen. She's speechless.
I am speechless. I am speechless because of your generosity.
So
no, that
anyway,
sounds fun. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Giveaway.
It is a fun. It is.
And I didn't have a fun Halloween mug, but I wore my pumpkin shirt today. So that way I was in the spirit. And maybe that's what it was. Maybe I haven't done anything Halloween-y. I didn't decorate the house. And so maybe this is my way to be Halloween-y this year.
Sounds good.
So y'all message me. If you will private message me a mailing address, I've got all your names written down, and we will get y'all your Halloween treat.
All right. Well, this has been a fun Halloween. We talked about scary animals.
Do you want a Halloween treat too? I send you one.
You get a Halloween treat, and you get a Halloween treat.
I feel like Ellen today. Is that Ellen who does that?
No, that's Oprah.
Oprah.
Yeah.
Just for all. Maureen, do you want a Halloween treat?
Sure. I would love a Halloween treat. You can bring it to me in person when you see me next week, though.
I will see you next week. Yes. I will. Yes. All right. Well, everyone, we hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. We hope that your Halloween is filled with night jars and night hawks and not chupacabras. But we hope that you have a wonderful Halloween birding weekend. And we will see y'all next week for a cup chat. Let me see who we've got coming.
Ooh, is Ducks next week?
Oh. Is it the 3rd? Yes. Oh, do you want to talk about what we're doing next week?
Well, for one, you and I will be hanging out together in College Station, so that will be fun.
And we will have a major birding with extension announcement next week too.
Yes, and
everyone tune in.
Tom and Patsy Inglet from Bear Audubon Society in San Antonio are going to talk about duck identification, and this is the perfect time of year to work on that because our ducks are migrating back through, and so you're probably seeing lots of them on ponds, and they're going to talk about quick, easy ways to identify ducks. Where's the white?
Where's the white? All right. Well, everyone have a great Wednesday. We are so glad that y'all joined us. Brian, it's been great to talk to you. We missed our Brian fix this spring. And so glad you could join us. And happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Bye, guys.